Hi there, Facebook friends. I had said that we are going to do gardening today, and so I'm in my little apartment garden, and this is the biggest yard I have now, and so we are going to talk about gardening just like I promised. And the ones of you that have not been on my channel before, I'm Iva, and this is Living Good on Less. And I'm retired, and I help other people to know how to balance their life and enjoy it, even though we don't make as much as we once did. And so, did you know, and surely you do, that if we raise our own, and so I think you would know that in the store that everything is covered in some kind of pesticides or preservatives, and when you raise it yourself, you know what is in your soil, you know what's in each one of your plants and what you put on them. Even if you don't have anything but a balcony, you can plant bell peppers or tomatoes. You can even raise cucumbers. I can tell you how if you ask and want to know. But you can raise almost anything, even on your balcony, and a good bit of it if you do your pots and everything like you should, to be able to use all of the space that you have. And I'm sorry if I keep squinching my eyes because the sun's bright today, but I'm not complaining about it. So anyway, I'm going to show you my pots and what I have left after the winter. And I'm getting ready to refresh all of my soil, plant seeds of the things that I do plant seeds for. Things like tomatoes and peppers, eggplants, things like that, I buy, but already, large, because they have grown them most of the winter in the greenhouses, and so they're already big and ready to produce. But I don't need that many plants, so I don't need to plant the seeds unless you just want total natural, and the seeds not be GMO or anything. I have places that I can tell you that you can get those kind of seeds from, the seed companies. But like tomatoes and peppers, they well, in my area anyway, the things that I'll talk about are the things that we mostly eat. And I live in Zone 9, and I can tell you most things about raising anything in Zone 9. The other areas of the United States where it gets colder, you just have to plant later. And I've never lived in those areas, so I don't know a lot about it. But you can raise the same things that we do. You just have shorter summers than we do. So anyway, and you can plant any kind of herbs, and most of them I plant by seeds, but I love basil, and so I always get larger basil plants and rosemary, because they're already I'll get plants about this big, and they're already going, so I can automatically start eating that. I love basil even in my scrambled eggs, a big handful, chop it up, put it with my other vegetables to make scrambled eggs and stuff. But I use a lot of herbs of different kinds, and they are so easy to raise. And while I'm talking about herbs, I want to tell you that almost any herb will, most of the bugs don't like them. They don't like the smell of them, and I wondered, where I lived before here, I wondered why everybody had so many mosquitoes and I didn't have any. But in my yard and on my deck and everything, I had rosemary and basil, lavender, lemongrass, lemon balm, all those plants. And I didn't realize that the bugs and mosquitoes don't like those plants. So a lot of those you can even plant with your garden plants, and it repels the different kind of bugs that would eat on your plants. And I have a list of that. If you would like a list or for me to talk about those, I will be glad to do a video on that if you want me to. Or if you send me your email, I can email you some different lists of plants and things that will repel the insects and bugs, and even the tomato worms and tobacco worms that cut and eat up your tomato. They can do that in one morning. I mean, one can almost destroy your tomato plant. So anyway, let's talk about my garden now. And let's see, over here we have I have rosemary, and it's, of course, from last year. And actually, I think that rosemary is several years old. And then I have in that front black pot, it's still mustard greens in the middle right there. And then behind it is my parsley. And let me see, over here is my lemon balm, and I still have a hot jalapeno right in front of that. And I have the tall thing is a lemon tree. I'm going to plant that in my daughter's yard because it's getting big enough. And this next thing is, let's see, right there is lettuce, and I'm going to harvest that today, and the mustard greens. And then this last one is right, let me see on the camera, right there. That is Swiss chard, and it's not large yet, but it will get big, and you want to harvest that as it grows. And today we're going to do refresh all of our soil. And let me see if I can get my camera on my dirt that I bought. Okay, this one right here is cow manure and compost. This one is mushroom compost. And this is something I've never bought before, and I'm excited to try. It's Jungle Land is the brand, and it's for flowers and vegetables, and it's got everything you can imagine in it. And if you're from my area, you may know about the store that's called Farmer's Mercantile. It's an old store, and it you can buy everything there for farms and animals and things, but they are carrying that now, and they said it is wonderful, everything that they've heard about it. So that's what we're going to get started with, and we will start doing our dirt, and then I'm going to come out in a little bit. I will talk to you about the seeds I'm going to plant and what does grow in this area. And you can raise almost anything here. In fact, I've got some notes written, and a lot of people plant seeds for their tomatoes and bell peppers, hot peppers and things. Well, if you plant those seeds, most of them, those kind anyway, you need to plant those really the last of January and early February to get them going, and do it indoors, because the little plants cannot handle the cold weather. And if you plant plants like I do instead of seeds, If we happen to have a late frost, you have to cover them up. And then other things, I do plant seeds though. I buy my peppers, my tomatoes, eggplants, most everything else I plant seeds. And we'll talk about that in a little while. And I'm going to tell you when to plant what seeds, because you don't plant all seeds at the same time. But hi, well, I'm back. They started grinding a stump outside my fence from my garden, and you couldn't hear anything. So I had to cut the video off, finish what I was doing, and then I'm in my apartment now, so we're going to finish the video, and I'm just going to be on here a little bit to answer some questions, tell you some things about seeds and mulch that you may already know, but in case you don't, I'm here to answer any of your questions. And if you will leave any comments or your questions down in the comments, I will be happy to try to answer any questions you have, or you can email me if you want more information. So I wanted to talk about a lot of people are planting seeds right now, and if you are, you need to make sure that you have things to cover them with, because winter is not totally over with yet, and we very likely will have another frost or maybe two, because we have a late Easter this year. And if you are planting plants, or you're going to have young little plants from your seeds, till all frost is gone, you'll want to take things like maybe large milk jugs and cut the bottom out, or orange juice jugs or anything like that. Cut the bottoms out, and when it's going to have a frost or too cold, you put them, mash the bottom that you've cut off, and this top part you mash down in the ground, and it will be kind of like a little mini greenhouse for your plants, and then they won't freeze. So if you start saving those, or even if it's small plants, you can cut out the bottoms of Coke bottles and stick those down in the ground, and it will protect your plants. So that is something good to do so you don't lose them, because many times we get so excited we just start planting seeds and buying plants and putting them out in our garden before the last frost is over, and then we lose a lot of things. So just make sure you have something handy to cover them with. But I was going to talk about also, a lot of people are planting seeds right now, like tomatoes and peppers, that take a little while to grow. Some things grow faster than they do. But I have such a small garden that I just buy the plants, because I'll just have like 3 or 4 bell peppers and some hot peppers, and 2 or 3 different kinds of tomato plants. And then on my balcony I'll have some bell peppers, basil, peppers, and tomatoes, and all of those kind of things that I use a lot. And that way I can just go out on my balcony, pick them, and use it. But most of my garden is in a friend's yard here, because she lives on the bottom level and has a larger yard than my balcony is. We usually around here plants in our garden. You can, if you have a large enough garden, it's easy to raise corn, peas and beans, cucumbers, zucchini, yellow squash. I have Swiss chard in my yard. You can grow lettuce all year long if you take care of it properly. And then, of course, we have tomatoes and peppers, a lot of other things, but those are the usual things that people have. And I'm going to talk about tomatoes because I found out that a lot of people don't know the difference between determinate and indeterminate tomatoes. And determinate tomatoes grow only so large, kind of like patio tomatoes, and they just grow usually in pots. They're small, but there's some that you plant that grow a little larger than those that you would plant in your garden. They all like mature all at once almost. Those kind of plants and tomatoes are really great for canning and putting up even in your freezer and so forth because they kind of all get ripe almost all at once. So if you want them to your tomatoes to feed you throughout the summer until winter, you get indeterminate tomatoes. They can grow up to like 8 feet tall and get really bushy and have lots of tomatoes all over the plants all year long. And tomatoes don't like what they call wet feet. They don't want to be sitting in wet soil, but they have to have a lot of moisture because, I mean, when you cut a tomato open, it's almost all water that runs out. So they do need to be watered so they can drink a lot to be really good, juicy tomatoes. So if you have any questions about that, just ask me. But they are two different kind of tomatoes and different plants. Usually the smaller tomatoes for sure. The cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes, and all of those are usually indeterminate. You will have to stake those. Some people even put up fences to run them on, to tie them up, because they have a lot of limbs and they spread out a lot. And it's good to plant your green beans with your corn and all those green beans. If they're running green beans, they can climb on your corn. And that's fun to watch too. And I want to also tell you to, on your tomatoes and your peppers, mostly, if you will pinch the first few blooms off, you will end up having larger fruit on your plants than if you leave every one of them on there. And sometimes your plants will be loaded with blooms. But if you pinch a few of them off, just to make sure you have enough on your plant, but not too many, because those extra blooms are just going to pull the nutrients out of your plant and from the other fruit. So that's a good idea. Uh, Herbs, any kind of herbs you can plant and have all summer long. And I use a lot of herbs. I don't know about y'all, but parsley, cilantro, rosemary, basil, any of those, they grow really well. And also, I don't know if I said it in the first part of the video or not, but all of the herbs, they are good at repelling mosquitoes and pests that we don't want in our garden. So it's good to intermingle them with your plants. And also there's a lot of flowers that repel the bad pest. Marigolds are some. Nasturtiums are the other. And nasturtiums, you can use the flower and the leaves in uh, your salads. And I'm sorry. And they're kind of peppery tasting. They're different, but they're good. And so there's several kind of flowers you can plant in your garden that repels mosquitoes and different kind of plants that you can put in your salads. Let's see. I wanted to also say that, and if you've stayed tuned this long, stay till the very end because I've got a couple of ideas for you to make your soil more nutritious just with things out of your kitchen. And eggshells are really important because you do have to have calcium in your soil. And if you will put your eggshells after you've scrambled eggs or fried them, put them like on the front part of your oven inside, and they'll bake and get crispy and cleaned up while you're baking other foods. Put them in your blender, your food processor, or bullet, magic bullet, whatever you have, and make it into powder. You can put that in your soil, and it helps to deter bugs because it's little points on it that sometimes we can't even see, but the bugs know it's there, and it picks their body, and they will either get away or it will poke them and they'll be dead. I don't know what happens to them, but it does repel the bugs just because they don't like it. And you put it in the bottom of your hole. You can mix it in your soil, but it's good for peppers and tomatoes if you put some in, about a tablespoon, in the bottom of your hole when you are planting your plants. So that's a real good idea because it gives more calcium, and it also helps with blossom end rot that's on tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, and it's also the calcium's also good for Swiss chard. And then the other thing is you can make great fertilize with your banana peelings. You cut them up, in little chunks, cover it in water, leave it for a few days, and you can use the water as fertilizer to water with, but also bury the peelings then, and they will rot, and your microorganisms, worms and everything, will feed on it, and in turn, it will feed your plant. The other thing is, I found out a long time ago that I don't like, well, even when I had a big yard, I didn't like messing with a compost pile. So I thought, well, all it is something that you let age and you use it for fertilize. So I started putting in my blender like leaves from lettuce or celery, even my watermelon peelings, the outside of the watermelon and cantaloupe. I'd put it in my blender and make it kind of a little bit soupy, but a little bit chunky. And I would bury all that, and it would rot and turn into fertilize. So that's a good, easy thing to do too. So that was my little tip points. And uh, if you have any questions, like I said, just ask me and I'll try to answer them. And I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel, like it, and put a comment if you would like to. And I will talk to you next week.